Welcome to an experience similar to ones that you've had before. Yes, another podcast featuring a couple of guys who think that they're funny. Two men, one microphone. This is Spoiled Rotten.
What up? Yes, we are here. I meant to do this.
Oh, you just didn't do it in
Is
time.
it flashing on there, or is it just like a solid?
No, it's solid.
Well,
It's solid to me.
That's upsetting.
That is upsetting.
It's supposed to be a strobe effect occurring right now. There wasn't. That's a bummer.
Yeah, that sucks.
I ran all the way upstairs. I said, Travis, give me 2 seconds. And then you ran upstairs and you started playing it. I was like, fuck.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. That's all right. That's all right.
It's all good. What's going on? What's going on, brother?
I'm not much. Not much. Just life.
Haven't seen you in
liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
It's been like 22 hours since I've seen you.
A little bit.
26?
A full 25, actually.
25. It's too long. Too long. I can't do math.
It's always too long. 25 minutes would be too long.
25 minutes would be too long.
Yeah.
Did I mess it up? Did I say minutes?
You did say minutes.
I'm big dumb. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I forgive you. All right. So,
all right.
Welcome everyone to the Wheel of Horror.
Wheel of Horror.
Yeah. We're still debating on whether this is going to be our last Wheel of Horror or not. But what are you doing?
I tried to get it to do the thing. Okay.
But if it is, we're going to go out with a bang with Hubie Halloween. So, have you watched anything over the last 24 hours? Before we get into this, because I have a lot to cover in this movie.
I did not, man. I played some Rocket League.
Nice.
That's about it. I didn't really.
The now free to play Rocket League.
Yeah, which is really a bummer because I just bought it for the Switch. I already had it on a PlayStation. My PlayStation died like 2 days ago.
Oh no.
It's all right. We're just gonna get the PS5 now. It's good. It's probably a good thing. But I got it on the Switch like 3 days before it was free, and I was like, dude, I had to pay full price for it. It's only like $20, but still.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's a bummer, and I didn't get any like extra swag for having purchased it. Like,
right.
That's what really bummed me out. I was like, we should get that grandfathered. Like, you paid money for this.
Mm-hmm. It's still a fun game.
It is.
And it's one of those games like you play like when you first start, it's still fun.
Yeah.
Even though like everyone's like intent like easily better than you. And the more you play, the like literally if you want to get good at that game, you're gonna have to put in the time. Because there's no way to just get luckily like just all of a sudden be good at the game. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I just paid for my first skin in Among Us.
No, you didn't pay money.
I did. I paid $1.99. You know what? I feel weird playing a free game.
Yeah,
so much without at least giving a little bit back.
You play the app. You play the app, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I've yet to play Among Us. It's a pretty spooky game, I guess. Like you're
it's weird.
Telling people who did it.
Yeah,
it's Clue, kind of.
Right. It's it's Mafia. Did you ever play Mafia as a kid?
Like with a group of friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, where you're like, oh well, I was doing this. It couldn't have possibly been me.
Exactly. Yeah, that's basically Mafia on a video game. But it's still a lot of fun. All right. Well,
but we're not here to talk about.
No, we're not.
Among Us.
We're not. We are here for the wheel
of
horror.
Yes.
And this week we are covering Hubie. I spun the wheel on Hubie Halloween.
Good.
And let me tell you how excited I am to tell you all about this movie.
I feel like I can see it radiating off of you right now.
Oh man, it's so bad. It's just bad. It's bad.
It's palpably bad.
Oh man. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Have you seen any other Adam Sandler movie?
I have.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Awesome. Well, if you guys are watching, first comment, let us know what you think of this movie. If you've seen it, let us know what your thoughts on Hubie Halloween. Maybe I'm the only one that didn't like the movie. I really hope not.
What's it rated? What we got? What's our rating on it for Rotten Tomatoes?
Rotten Tomatoes? I don't remember.
It was
pretty high,
50 or something like that.
Yeah,
it was
right. Still pretty high compared to what I think that this movie deserves.
Right.
Yeah, it's if you've seen any other Adam Sandler movie, you know basically like the running joke is that Adam Sandler tricked Netflix into allowing him to make a bunch of movies with his friends in whatever location that he wants, and he doesn't care about like what the movie looks like, how the movie is, the script, anything. He just wants to vacation with his friends and film movies because that's what he likes to do. And honestly, I can't blame him for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're Adam Sandler, and you can do whatever you want at this point, like why not?
Right. I mean, he's become a success because he's put out some very good movies, and like it's not even like you can't put Adam Sandler comedies into the comedy genre anymore. It's almost his own genre. Is like
Adam Sandler comedies.
Adam Sandler comedies have to have their own thing because like he has completely changed the comedy landscape, I think. And no one can do it like he can.
Yeah, he's not coming out with any more Water Boys. He's not coming out with any Happy Gilmores now.
No,
he's not Billy Madison.
But I mean,
he's
do you blame him?
Like he's all over the place right now.
And like his two daughters are main characters in this movie.
Oh, really? Like his real life daughters? That's cool.
Yeah, his real life daughters are in this movie. And they weren't that bad. Like they had some acting chops with them as well. So that was really cool to see.
Nice.
All right, so let's start it from the very beginning, from the top.
All right. Spoiler alert. We're about to go.
Oh yeah. Woo 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 woo.
You're supposed to. We gotta do the
spoiler alert.
We're about to ruin this movie front to back, plot lines all the way through it. We're gonna go scene by scene. We're gonna ask some trivia questions about the movie as we go along. If you haven't seen it and you want to watch it, I think Travis is going to tell you not to watch it at the end of this. But what do you think? You want to give away whether or not people should watch it now or later?
If you like everything that Adam Sandler has done, you might like this movie.
Okay. So yeah, we're about to spoil the whole movie for you. Stick around.
Oh yeah.
And let's get started.
All right. Get started. So opening credits starts at this insane asylum.
Okay. Makes sense. It's a horror movie.
Right. Insane asylum. You can see a figure underneath a blanket and an orderly comes in.
Perfect.
We notice that it is Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller
playing the exact same orderly that he played in Happy Gilmore.
Okay.
First question.
Oh, geez.
Do you remember what the name of that orderly is? Is it Cal C, Hal L, Al A, or Nick Nurse Guy?
Nick Nurse Guy. Could we even put it past him to be Nick Nurse Guy? Like, it could be that bad. That's a possibility. Something about Cal. Cal is just grabbing me. It's like Kelsey. Like Kelsey. Like he's like Kelsey? I'm going with Kelsey.
Final answer?
Final answer.
That is incorrect. It is Hal L. Same exact name that he had in
there you go.
Yeah. So Nice try though. I mean, that was
I'm
you were
big
really
dumb, man.
close.
I
You were
didn't
really
get
close.
it. I was the answer adjacent to it.
Right.
Not
All right.
adjacent.
So Hallel comes in and he's like, "Oh man, hey, I see that. I heard that you often wet your bed. Did you wet your bed this time?" Talking to this guy that's underneath the covers, and he's like, "I hear that you can never hold it in," and he's like, "Guy underneath the covers doesn't answer," and he's like, "Hey, answer me. I'm talking to you. You got to answer me." And so he kicks the bed, and the entire body like jiggles underneath the covers. So he pulls the covers off, and it's just Jello with hot dogs that say "bye," and then he screams, "We got a crazy one that escapes." He sees that the windows open, and you see this guy in a like a hospital gown.
Stupid. Sorry.
Right? No, in like a prison outfit, like with prison pants and like a tan, walking away from the
asylum.
Yeah, and then you get the title Hubie Halloween, and then it cuts to Hubie. His name is Hubert Dubois, and that is who Adam Sandler plays. He is riding his bike with a
Hubie, the one who just escaped.
No.
Okay.
No, it's going back. Hubert Dubois lives in Salem, Massachusetts.
Of course he does. Siri's having trouble hearing you.
Yeah.
Could you say that again for her?
My bad. I'm not talking to you. Watch out. Jeez. Scared me to
trouble hearing you. She does that to me all the time, and it's so annoying. Like, I'll look at my watch, and she's like, "Excuse me." I'm like, "Didn't say anything."
Jeez. So yeah, Salem, Massachusetts. Making sure that wasn't what triggered her. And it's where the most celebrated place for Halloween for obvious reasons.
It is witch hunts. We got spooks going on.
It is the New Orleans, Louisiana Mardi Gras to Halloween.
Yeah.
So Hubie is on his bike. He is listening to a radio station, which is WTCH, which is one letter away from just witch.
Yeah.
And this sultry female, like sexy voice is saying, welcome to the witch, where we're gonna have a huge Halloween festival in Salem, Massachusetts tonight. And he's listening to it as he's riding his bike, and some kid throws an egg right at Hubie, and Hubie has extremely good reflexes and is able to dodge out of the way.
I thought he was going to catch it.
Then he pulls out his thermos, and he has this thermos with him all the time.
That's his thing.
And this is one of the things about Adam Sandler movies. Like, that running joke that just dies after a while.
Yeah.
And then like they keep using it, and then all of a sudden it's funny again.
Yeah.
That's what happens with this thermos, because he opens the thermos, and then 3 other kids each throw an egg at him. He catches each one with his thermos, puts the cap back on, shakes it up, drinks it all, and he's like, Rocky Balboa style. And then immediately
talking pukes. like Waterboy or Little Nicky.
Yeah, okay, so it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of Rocky Balboa. It's a little bit of Bobby Boucher, a little bit of Little Nicky.
Then my mama said,
right, and also like this really bad Boston accent.
Okay, can you just give me your best shot at said accent?
Oh man, I'm not good at accents.
All right, ready, set, go.
Rocky Balboa style.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was bad.
Yeah,
I'm sure the accent's bad, but
Hubert Halloween.
Hubert Halloween.
Hubert Dubois.
Hubie.
Hubie.
Hubert?
I don't know. I just want to let you guys know about Halloween and all the dangers of said Halloweenness.
Oh, is that his move?
Yeah. So that's what he does.
He's like the hall pass monitor of Halloween.
Yeah. So he loves Halloween.
Yeah.
But two things: he wants to make sure that everyone knows about the safeties of Halloween, like to be safe during Halloween, and he jump scares at everything. He will scare at anything that happens to him. So that's what we are dealing with. So
okay.
I
already hate this movie. Like, I can feel it. I can feel that this is Waterboy, but Halloween.
I know.
Okay. Let's go on.
All right. So as he's riding his bike, there is a woman that is going from one place to another. And he looks across and he's like, Vicky Valentine, which is her name. Mm-hmm. Vicky Valentine, which is a mix between I have to say, like a James Bond girl and a porn star.
There you go.
With that kind of name.
What's the difference?
Right.
Oh, so, did I cross the line? I'm so sorry.
No, you are good. I just lost you there. There we go.
So what was, I thought Vicky Valentine's name was the name of the girl in
Vicky Valancourt.
Valancourt. Vicky Valancourt. Okay.
Vicky Valancourt is the name in
Waterboy.
Waterboy. This is Vicky Valentine.
Okay.
He is obviously running out of names.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many, and he has so many movies. He couldn't possibly have another future name.
So he's looking at her like she's walking in slow motion. He's riding in slow motion. All of a sudden, he hits a car on his bike, flips over the car, and lands in a thud. And she looks over, and he lands in those front yard like Halloween mat like statues that move like this. Yeah. So he immediately stands up and starts doing this to try to hide himself from Vicky Valentine.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Smooth move.
Very smooth. So after that, he gets to his work. He works at the local deli.
Of course he does.
Works at the local deli. His coworker is Mike Mundy, who does not like him at all. Tries to scare him all the time.
Yeah.
While he's taking orders, he sees one of the kids with a bunch of toilet paper and a bunch of eggs. And he's like, "Kids, you shouldn't have that out there. What are you doing with all that toilet paper and eggs?" Yeah. And he's like, and the kids are like, "We're living our life. Mind our own business." Yeah. And
just being disrespectful children.
Of course.
As you do.
Man, what is his name?
Mike. Good old Mike.
Yeah. So there's a guy that's played by Ray Liotta.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who that is. His character's name is Pete
Ray Liotta,
Landolfa.
I thought.
Ray Liotta is whatever. His name is Pete Landolfa. And Pete is trying to get an order from the deli. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to make his order. And all of a sudden he's like, "You know what? I want the lamb's head." And Hubie's like, "We don't have the lamb's head." And he's like, "Yeah, he does." He looks and he points down, and there is a whole lamb's head. All of a sudden it turns and screams at him. And he jumps backwards, falls, and knocks like 7,000 things down.
Okay.
And that lamb's head was just a mask that Mike Mundy, his coworker, was wearing just to scare him. And they're all laughing at him, and they call him Hubie.
Oh, that's funny, though.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, my name is Hubie. He's like, "No, it's Hubie from now on."
Sorry. That was like the teenage boy in me going,
yeah, I know. Hubie. So we cut to Kevin James.
Yeah.
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yes, sir. King of Queens.
He is playing the sheriff.
Okay.
And the sheriff has a huge beard, a huge mullet.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and he's in his car, and all of a sudden Hubie shows up, and he's like, I just saw some kids with a lot of toilet paper and eggs. I thought you should know. And he's like, it's not illegal to buy toilet paper and eggs, Hubie. And he's like, yes, but with it being Halloween, you might want to be known about that. And he's like, doesn't matter. Leave me alone, Hubie. Stop trying to talk to me.
All right, so clearly they're going to be best buddies.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so as he's leaving, the same kid starts chasing him. And now they're not just throwing eggs at him, they're throwing flaming bags of dog poop at him. He as he's trying to escape, he hits another car, flips over the car, lands in someone's yard.
Does the thing again?
No. That he's done. All the kids laugh at him and ride away. And then we meet
take that, Hubie.
Yeah, then we meet Walter Lambert, who's played by Steve Buscemi.
Nice. You knew Steve was going to be here.
Of course.
So
played by Steve Buscemi. Yeah. And Walter's like, hey, I just moved in. And he's right next door to his house. And so they're talking. They're having a good conversation about the safety of Halloween.
Yep.
And
as you do.
Right. And so, but at the very end, Walter Lambert's like, hey, you might not hear anything tonight, but if you do hear strange noises coming from my house, don't investigate. It's probably not a big deal. Actually, forget that I ever told you. Just don't come into my house tonight.
Hey, I'm going to give you this nugget of information.
Yeah.
Just if you come into contact with it, ignore it. That's how it goes. This isn't a plot device at all.
Right. So, something weird's going to happen. Please don't interrupt me. Wink. And so then Hubie goes into his house. Hubie then has his mother is inside the house. He lives with his mom.
Hubie's
his mom's like, hey, I got a new t-shirt. I got it at the thrift store. What does the shirt that she is wearing say? Is it A, I shaved my balls for this with a question mark? B, Muff's diving school? C, boner donor? Or D, kayaking gets me wet?
Oh, these are all childish.
Yeah.
Says the guy who just laughed at Hubie a minute ago, so I can't really say too much. I'm gonna move us along. I had a good feeling about I shaved my balls for this.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah. Final answer. That is incorrect. The first one that we see is boner donor. It has a little like red cross on it, and it says boner donor right underneath it.
You say the first one, like we're going to see more.
So
shirts.
all of these are actual shirts that she wears at some point in the movie.
But this
is the one that they see first.
All right. There we go.
So, all of them are good because they are all in the movie, but it definitely is boner donor. That is the first one, and it's the reason why it's boner donor is Hubie's like, boner donor, what does that mean? And his mom's like, oh, I don't know. I guess when like I hear people say like, hey, I made a big boner, like when they make a mistake. So maybe I just donate mistakes around. And he's like, oh, I've never heard of that. And then he like shrugs it off. And if you think, oh man, are we going to hear more about him making boners for the rest of the movie? You are correct.
Yeah.
He's going to be bringing this up all the time.
This is his other thing, other than the thermos.
Yes.
He's the guy who makes boners.
Yes.
All right.
I'm not
Fantastic.
only spoiling this movie for you, I'm spoiling the spoiling parts because that's
Great.
just how I roll.
I appreciate that. Just getting down to business.
Yeah. So they're talking about Halloween, and his mom's like, "Hey, man, you got to stand up for yourself when people are making fun of you." She heard about what happened at the deli. You got to stand up for yourself.
Right.
People are just as big of bullies now as they were back in the 1700s when everyone were called witches and around here. So she's like, things are just as bad now as they were then. You got to protect yourself. You got to keep an eye out.
Protection.
He's like, okay, mother. And so yeah, blah blah blah. Jeez. So the next day we run into a bunch of other side characters, and like Vicky Valentine is a foster mother for three kids.
Fantastic.
What the kids' names are, I don't know. But two of them are played by Adam Sandler's actual daughters.
Oh, we have somebody who enjoys this movie in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that.
What is that about? Heather, you care to explain yourself here?
Yeah, so she actually did guess Boner Donor.
Boner Donee is actually
Boner
not
Donee.
an option.
She did.
Oh, she corrected herself.
She corrected it.
Sorry, and you also have to form it in the form of a question.
Of a question.
What is
say
boner
final
donor?
Answer? Right.
Yeah.
And say final answer.
I know it gets a little tough. There's a lot of rules.
Right. So then Hubie goes to the elementary school.
Are we just gonna leave donor on the screen? That's fine with me. No, I put boner donor on there. Put boner donor on there and delete it.
Boner Donee.
There we go. Let's go. Just keep talking.
Okay. All right. So he goes to the elementary school the next day, and the principal's like, "Hey, just so you guys know, in lieu of recess, I'm going to have Hubie Dubois talk to you guys about the safety of Halloween."
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
He's talking to them about the safety of Halloween. And all of a sudden someone asks a question.
Yeah.
And he's like, "That's a very good question." He turns, the kid is in a full like zombie makeup.
Yeah.
Because it's Halloween and they all dressed up. And he starts yelling, "Ah, kill it!" And starts yelling really loudly. And he's like, "Oh man." The kid starts crying because he got scared, and then everyone starts throwing food at Hubie Dubois.
Of course.
When they do this, he takes out his thermos.
Of course he does.
And
we had a premonition in the chat. It just says that damn thermos.
Yeah. He opens, and all of a sudden an umbrella pops out with a huge jack-o'-lantern face on it.
He's Mary Poppins, but with
this is the Mary Poppins thermos. The Mary thermos.
Okay. I tried to think of it, and I couldn't come up with anything that made a funny in my head, but we'll go with Mary Thermos. That's fine.
Mary Thermos. And so he's able to block all the food that's about to hit him. And then he puts it away. He's like, "Oh, I guess you guys are out of food." And then someone throws a dodgeball at his face, hits him, and he falls backwards.
Is he a wizard? Like, is that what we come to find? Is that he has like wizard powers later?
I wish it was that.
It's just stupid. It's just stupid.
Yeah, it's just stupid. All right, okay. So he goes up to Vicky Valentine, and Vicky Valentine is extremely into him for whatever reason.
And he's oblivious.
To it.
Right, of course.
And Inspector Boner Hubie. Oh, that's great.
There you go.
Instead of Inspector Gabbett, Inspector Boner Hubie.
There you go.
I like it. All right, so he's talking to her, and he's like, "Hey, I just met my neighbor, and who was Walter Lambert." And she's like, "Oh, there's a Walter Lambert at the cemetery, but there's something really odd." I know. There's a Walter Lambert. He has a headstone at the cemetery, but there's something really weird about his headstone.
What's so weird about it?
And Hubie's like, "What's going on?" She's like, "Well, you're a detective. You go find out." So
dun, dun, dun.
The next scene, we go to a funeral with Ray Liotta.
Yeah, Ray Liotta
sitting there, and the guy from Michael Chiklis is the father, the pastor that is ordained, like doing the funeral.
Fair, got it.
So Hubie,
yes,
army crawls right next to them.
Yes,
and then goes to the headstone.
Yeah,
and sees that Walter Lambert's name, but the date is covered in dirt. So he takes out his thermos.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden he like twists it one way, and all of a sudden a shovel pops out. And he shovels out the dirt and shovels it onto where they're having the funeral.
Yeah,
and finds out that there is no. Yeah, it says Walter Lambert, 1668, but no death date.
What?
Yeah.
He lives.
So Walter Lambert is still alive.
What?
Almost 4,000 years
Is
later.
His name Steve Buscemi?
Yeah.
Did I nail it?
Basically. All right. So, so after the funeral,
yeah,
Father Dave,
who
is Michael Chiklis, goes over to Hubie, and he's like, "What the heck are you doing?" He's like, "What?" He's like, "There was a funeral." And he's like, "Who has a funeral on Halloween?" He's like, "People die every day, Hubie."
Yeah.
He's like, "Even April Fool's Day?" And so he just, at that point, he just walks away. And then Ray Liotta comes in, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? My father just passed away." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my father passed away too." And he's like, and he puts his arm around Hubie, and he's like, "Hey, just want to let you know, like, my dad was a serious father. He took everything very seriously, but even he would think that this is funny." And he throws him into the 6 feet hole.
Yeah. The grave.
The grave that his father's coffin is already in. So he crashes on top of the coffin.
Wow.
And laughs and walks away.
How rude.
Yeah. I mean, he did say right before that, and I forgot to mention this, because Ray Liotta's mother was there, and she was in all black, and she was crying. And he's like, "Oh, nice witch costume." And on Halloween, he's like, she's mourning. And he's like, "Oh, that's a boner on my part." And then Ray Liotta pushes him into the
boners.
Yeah,
the boners.
So
again.
There's boner 1.
Revenge of the boners.
Right. Revenge of the boner. So once that happened, we see that figure that escaped the mental hospital.
Okay.
Yeah. So right after that, we find out that his name is Richie Hartman. Richie Hartman, which Kevin James put into the mental hospital however many years ago. Does that ever come back and like they talk about that? No. But they wanted to make it very clear that Kevin James is the guy that put him in the
There's
in the
a history hospital. Here. Okay.
So Kevin James is on the lookout for this Richie Hartman.
Yeah.
This entire time.
Richie Hartman.
But we never see Richie Hartman.
Richie Fartman.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Did we get it?
Yeah, that was good.
It's like
right on
Hubie.
there. Way to go, Richie Fartman.
Fartman. Got him.
Man. All right. Jokes.
I'm sorry. Okay, right. So Kevin James, they've got a history. He's a bad dude. Kevin James is just serving the law.
Right.
With his mullet and his beard.
So after he investigates this, he goes to Kevin James again. And Hubie's like, hey, I just want to let you know that my new neighbor, Walter Lambert, is probably a werewolf.
Yeah.
And he is a very big danger to everyone involved.
Okay. Talks just like that. Got it.
Talks just like that.
Just like that.
Just like that. And Kevin James is like, all right, here's what we're going to do.
Going on, like.
Right. This is
I haven't even seen this movie, and I already know all of Adam Sandler's mannerisms.
So Kevin James is like, all right, here's what we're going to do. I need you to be a part of the AUU.
Yeah.
Which is the Auxiliary Undercover Unit.
All right.
And Hubie Halloween's like, what is that? And he's like, you're going to take note of everything that you see. Jot all those notes down. Keep it a log.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but what you need to do is not come here, not talk to any police officer.
Put him up your butt.
Not talk to me. He's like, well, where do I put the notes? He's like, well, the trash can just outside of City Hall is monitored every single day. Put those notes in the trash can, and we will know about them.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay.
So we know that this is going to come into play later.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
So
got it.
Hubie then is talking to I believe Vicky again. Vicky Valentine.
Beautiful
and
lady. Beautiful woman.
And as they're talking, they're one of the I guess they're at a Catholic school because a nun comes up and she's talking to him, and he hands her a bunch of flyers and is like, hey, hand this out to all the kids as they go through so you can so they can know the safety of Halloween and all that kind of thing. And she's like, oh,
we don't do that here.
No, she's like, oh, thank you, Hubie. That is so nice of you. Thank you so much. And then she takes the flyers, turns around, throws them in the trash can right in front of him, and walks away.
I love it.
It was pretty funny. That was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
It's so sad. Heather says.
So
I can see that.
Yeah, it was great. So going straight into Halloween night. So Vicky's foster kids, she has one foster son who's older, like a freshman. And two foster daughters who are in like middle school.
Adam Sandler's kids.
Later at elementary, right. And so he's supposed to take the kids trick-or-treating that night and stay there until she, who works at a diner, Vicky Valancourt or Valentine.
No, we can say Valancourt. That's fine.
Or whatever. Vicky Valentine.
Vicky.
Gets off work.
Yeah.
And he's watching the kids. Well, while they're at a coffee shop, he runs into what is her name?
Person A.
Person A. It really doesn't matter. Because she doesn't have much to do other than she convinces him to go to a party that night and leave the two girls all alone.
Yeah. It's a good move.
Yeah.
Go get his freak on.
Right. Nothing's going to happen bad from that. So all that's set up. And then they have this little musical montage of everyone getting ready for Halloween night.
Great.
And at the end of this musical montage, you see Richie Hartman. You don't see his face.
Running from the law.
Like it pans up.
Yeah.
And he picks up a pig's mask, a mask of like one of the three little pigs.
Okay.
And it puts it on the mask, and he keeps walking.
He puts on the mask.
He puts on the mask. You never see his face, but now you know if you see a pig.
That's Richie.
Pig mask. That's Richie Hartman.
Wow.
And he was in a mental hospital.
And he's unstable. We don't know what this guy's capable of.
Yeah, you don't know what he's capable of.
He could be a great dude for all we know.
He could.
He seems good.
Yeah.
Seems like a good dude.
It's all right. It is Halloween night.
Halloween night. This is Halloween.
And we see a father, mother, and this little girl.
Yeah.
And she goes up to a house. And it says, hey, had to step out for a bit. Please take one candy. And so she picks up one, puts it in her bag, and it's just about to pick up another one. And Hubie comes out and says, oh, you got to be fair. It said one. That's one of the rules of Halloween. You got to be fair. And the parents are like berating him and making fun of him. And then Tim Meadows comes out of nowhere. Yeah, Tim Meadows. His name is Mr. Lester Hennessy.
Of course it is.
Yeah, Lester Hennessy. And his costume is he's holding his head in his hands. So the shoulders are a little bit higher. His head is right here, and he has fake hands that are holding his head right here with his shoulders up there.
Yeah.
So he's making fun of Hubie, and he's like, hey, I heard a really loud noise over at your neighbor's house. And he's like, ooh, what kind of noise is it? And he starts making this like, is it like a he's like,
all right, we can skip the sounds. Like,
and he's like, no, like, because they pushed this joke for like a good 3 minutes.
No, I'm sure I can put two and two together.
He made 4 different sounds.
Are they the questions? Like, which sound did he not make? Did he not go?
No. No, these aren't any of the sounds because it was absolutely ridiculous. And I wish I could have stopped the video at that point. But anyway, moving on.
It's bad. Heather was standing by it. I think she's gone now. She can't stand by it anymore.
Hubie then rushes over to Walter's house.
Yeah.
And he sees all the windows boarded up.
Okay.
And
boarded up windows.
Yeah. And so he goes inside and he sees him like in anguished pain. And like it looked like he handcuffed himself to like the fridge or something.
That makes sense.
And he broke out of that. And so he comes in, he's like, what's going on? Are you all right? And he starts howling, and then he jumps up and then jumps out of the room, and now he's on the streets.
Oh, good.
And he's like, oh, that's not good.
He's on the loose.
Yeah. So then he goes over to the kids' party. And he's over at the kids' party, and he's telling people, stop drinking, put that cigarette out. Like he's being a huge buzzkill to all these teenagers.
Right.
Which is
doing what Hubie do.
Right. Hubie doing what Hubie do.
Hubie is as Hubie does.
Yeah. So he gets told that he almost gets into a fight. And he starts telling people, hey, he's like, I just don't want any of you guys to make a boner tonight. I've made plenty of boners in my life. Some boners I wish I could take back.
Yeah.
Some boners are going to be out there for the rest of the world. And that's when someone said, I don't think he has any idea what a boner is.
Yeah.
And that was a funny line.
Is that the funniest line in the movie, you think?
No. So Mike Mundy hits one of his friends and says, hey, give me about 90 seconds. and then go run to Hubie and tell him that a little kid is lost in the corn maze outside.
Oh, so we're gonna scare Hubie is what's happening.
Yeah. And he's like, why are you gonna do that? He's like, because I'm gonna scare Hubie. He's like, oh, okay, that's gonna be funny. So he goes out there, tries to wait, and then his friend goes over and says, there's a kid in the corn maze, he's crying. I don't know what to do. And Hubie's like, it's all right, I'm a part of the AUU. It's my mission to save him. I'm gonna go save him. And so he army crawls into the corn maze.
Got it.
And everyone starts laughing. Right. Everyone starts laughing. And the Vicky Valentine's kid is like, oh man, that's really mean. And the girl that he's with is like, yeah, that's really mean. That is really mean. And so they're like, hey, let's go tell Hubie that it's all a joke.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. So they follow him into the corn maze. And when they find Hubie freaks out because he got scared.
Hubie.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, it's just Mike Mundy making a joke on you. And he's like, all right, well, thank you for letting me know. I knew that's what was going on, but thank you anyway. And he tells the kid, like, hey, aren't you supposed to be watching your kids today or watching your sisters tonight? He's like, yeah, I should go back. He's like, yes, but I'm not going to tell your mother because I get that you have to have a little bit of your own freedom. So he's really cool with the kid, and the kid decides to leave and go back home. We cut to the two girls in the house by themselves, and they get freaked out, so they leave the house.
Perfect.
As they're walking around, they see this huge figure with a pig's head.
Hartman.
And he's peeing on the road right before that. He pees on the street, and then he starts walking. He finds the two girls, and then it cuts from there. Then all of a sudden, Hubie's still going through the corn maze, and he sees Mike Mundy, but Mike Mundy's sitting. He looks like he's tied up, and he has a corn stalk in his mouth. And all of a sudden, he gets pulled from the corn stalk and disappears. And Hubie's freaking out. Hubie then goes to Kevin James, the sheriff.
Yeah.
And says, there's a kid missing. We need to shut everything down. And Kevin James is like, not today. I don't need this from you. Walk away from me.
Okay.
And then later on
the
drive home.
I called her mom.
On a payphone.
There we go. We got there.
Was the cops.
And your husband said, yeah.
Then I turned on the TV.
And that's about the time you walk away from me.
Right.
Okay. Anyways.
We have to start paying royalties for that. So, geez, where am I on this now? Okay, so, a little bit later, Kevin James is saying, "Hey," goes to the mayor and says, "Hey, mayor, Hubie told me that there was a kid that was missing, and he's like, well, what are you going to do about it?" He's like, well, I blew him off like normal. He's like, okay, good. And then he's like, but the mother just called me and said that he never showed up back home. And now she's starting to get worried. I think we need to shut this down. There's a guy that just escaped the mental hospital. We need to shut everything down. He's like, 90% of our tourism budget comes from tonight. So I'm not shutting anything down.
Shutting anything down.
Yeah. He's like, everything's going to stay up no matter what.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. And so the kid, what?
Do it.
Tommy.
Do it.
That's his name. His name is Tommy.
Thomas.
Yes, Vicky's foster son is named Tommy.
Okay.
And so Tommy gets home. He can't find the kids. He's freaking out. All of a sudden, there's a knock on the door.
Yeah.
He goes in, tries to open the door.
It's pig face.
Huh?
It's pig face.
No, it's Hubie. And he's like, "Oh, Hubie, I'm glad that you're here. I can't find my sisters." And he's like, "Oh, I found them." And they come in the door and they're like, "Oh, good." And he was like, I found them going in a shortcut that I didn't know anyone knew about this shortcut. Me and my friend Richie Hartman would always take it when we were kids.
Huh.
So Richie Hartman was able to get them back home, and he didn't do anything. So,
Maybe Richie's not a bad guy.
Right. Maybe.
Just like I thought.
Right. So then all of a sudden we're at the drive-in movies, and Mr. Hennessy gets into a car where Mrs. Hennessy is. Mrs. Hennessy is played by Maya Rudolph.
Okay.
And they're like, "Oh man, this is just like old times." And Mrs. Hennessy's like, "Exactly. All these people here, Hubie spying on people in the car," and they point over to Hubie spying on people in that car. And they're like, "Hey, let's scare him." So they end up chasing him, like making him think that this car is haunted.
Okay.
They chase him down.
Yeah.
With all the kids from earlier that chased him down before in the car as well. And they chase him. He uses his thermos as a grappling hook.
Beautiful.
To swing from a tree branch and then falls flat on his face. As he's going through the forest, he finds Walter Lambert with his shirt all ripped, eating a ham.
Eating a ham?
Yeah, no, it was a pumpkin. It's a pumpkin. I'm sorry.
No, we'll say it's a ham. That's fine.
It is a pumpkin.
Hamkin.
Yeah. And so he's eating this pumpkin, and he's like, "Sir, I believe that you are not a human being. You are a werewolf. Please come with me." And Steve Buscemi's like, "Get away from me. I got to go." And he howls and then darts out.
Okay.
You see Walter Lambert get into his house, try to like cuff himself again.
Yeah, detain himself.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you see 2 feet hit right in front of him, pans up, pig face. And he takes off his mask, and we see
that it's
who Richie Hartman is. Is it Kevin Hart, Rob Schneider, Shaquille O'Neal, or Adam Sandler in drag?
I'm going to go based off of it's an Adam Sandler movie. That it's Rob Schneider.
Final answer?
Final answer.
That is correct. It is Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider takes off his mask and and just looks down at Walter Lambert and says, "We have to talk." And then it cuts away.
When was the last thing Rob Schneider was in?
I have no idea. I think it was another Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, it had to have been. I haven't seen him in anything in a hot minute. I think maybe his last. There's the Deuce Bigelow sequel.
The European Gigolo?
European Gigolo.
Yeah.
He was in Hot Girl?
Yeah, and The Animal.
The Animal, yep. I think that's like all I can remember him from.
That's it. I don't know.
Other than like, "You can do it!" Like
right. Yeah.
Oh, Heather's still with us. Look at this. She's
hanging
in strong. We appreciate that, Heather.
Rob Schneider.
All right, so Rob Schneider needs to talk to.
Yeah, he has not been in anything good lately. I did see once when I was working at Blockbuster.
So it's been a minute. That sentence alone tells you how long it's been.
He was in a movie.
Yeah.
That was a Western zombie movie.
Oh man.
But I do not remember the name of it.
That's probably for the best. It sounds awful.
Yes, absolutely.
Western zombie movie.
It was a Western zombie movie. Yeah.
So he needs to talk to Steve Buscemi for some reason.
Yeah, so he needs to talk to Steve Buscemi for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm never gonna find that. So cut back to Hubie. He all of a sudden hears this dog howling.
Yeah.
And he finds this Siberian husky, and he is convinced it's Walter.
Okay.
And so he's talking to the dog as if he's Walter. And the dog races into a haunted house.
Okay.
Like an actual haunted house.
Like a fun house
theme, like a fun house. Yes, like a fun house. And so he chases in after it. At the same time, Ray Liotta is leaving. A bunch of other people are leaving.
Yeah.
And he goes in and he gets scared the entire time walking through this haunted house. Someone grabs his leg and he starts screaming and crying. And Ray Liotta's like, I know that voice. So he goes back in.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's trying to find Hubie, he gets abducted just like Mike Mundy did.
All right, so something else spooky is happening,
right,
in town at the same time.
And then we go back to the Hennessy's, and the Hennessy's are laughing. They're driving. They see this scarecrow in the middle of the road. He goes out to see it, and he gets abducted. She goes out to find him. She gets abducted.
Beautiful.
So all of a sudden, 4 people completely taken. We have no idea what's going on.
Nice.
So they're at the fun house. Yeah. And Rayleigh and everyone there, including Kevin James, is trying to figure out who's taking these people.
Right.
And all of a sudden they're like, and Hubie says something like, yeah, they such good people are all of a sudden just disappearing. And someone's like, hey, none of them are good people to you. Like, all of these people are just nothing but mean to you all the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I don't hold it against them. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, maybe it's you, Hubie. Yeah. What have you been doing? Why are you the one that's taking them? And he's like, I swear it's not me. I don't know what it is. And they all start to trying to corner him. And he pulls up the old
thermos.
He points and he's like, Frankenstein. And everyone turns around and looks, and he disappears.
That's so stupid.
And the mayor, who's there as well, is like, did we just fall for the old Frankenstein bit? And so,
am I supposed to laugh at that? Because that's so dumb.
I guess, because it's in there for some reason, but no one laughed. So he's running, and just like any time that he's running or riding his bike, things are just being thrown at him. Eggs, like one was a flaming spear, rocks,
right? Ridiculous
being thrown at him. Ridiculous things. He goes into this valley, and 2 bears show up and start throwing things at him too.
Okay.
And he goes up to this building with WTCH on it.
The witch.
Yes. So he goes into this radio station, which we've heard off and on the entire movie.
Yeah.
And he goes in there and he hears that sultry voice of DJ Aurora. What we've heard all night. And we see who plays DJ Aurora. Is it Kevin Hart, Drew Barrymore, Shaquille O'Neal, or Adam Sandler in drag?
Oh, Jesus. I don't like that Adam Sandler and drag is on there again. I just want to say that.
It's not the only one that's on there again. 3 of them are still there.
Here's what I think happened. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
I think you made these questions last minute and you couldn't come up with other answers.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm going to say B. Drew Barrymore.
B. Drew Barrymore?
Answer.
That is incorrect. It is Shaquille O'Neal.
No, it's not.
Yes. Yes, it is.
The sultry lady voice.
The sultry voice. And he's like, "You look a lot different than you sound." And all of a sudden he like goes back to his voice. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's my," and he talks like actual Shaquille O'Neal. Like Shaquille and he's like, "Yeah, this is my regular voice." And then he goes back into his radio voice, and then she's like, "And this is my radio voice." And so, talking with Shaquille O'Neal, he finds out that like he's like, "Yeah, I can't believe that I have my second all-time caller, my second most frequent caller in the radio with me today." He's like, "Second? Who's the first?" And he's like, it's this woman who has a huge crush on you and is always trying to send messages and like do this."
How does Shaq know who he is?
And because he does call in all the time. There's one scene where he's calling into the radio. Hubie Halloween is calling into the radio, and he has the radio on as he's calling in, so he hears an echo of himself, and it's ridiculous. I forgot to mention it because it's
okay.
Absolutely ridiculous. So he finds out that there's this woman that has a huge crush on him, and so he's like, "Can we trace the call?" He's like, "No, I have caller ID. I'll just give you the number."
Right.
And so he's like, "Well, first number we have to call is 911." And so he calls Kevin James. Kevin James comes to the studio.
Yeah.
And then they all call that number together, and it doesn't pick up. And he's like, "Is there anyone that might be of any interest to you?" And he finds out that and he's like, "Only person I can think of is Vicky Valentine." And so they set up a sting operation with Vicky Valentine at the bay, at the docks, with all these boats around, calls Vicky out to the docks, and he's like, "All right, I'm going to have you wear a wire. If at any time you feel uncomfortable, say a code word." And he's like, "What should code word be?" And he's like, "I don't know, just anything that you just think that we would know." He's like, "I'm going to use pumpkin." And he's like, "All right, use pumpkin. Just try to see if she's ever made these calls. And then while you're near her, I'm going to try to call this number and see if it rings on her while it's on her."
Yeah, got it.
And he's like, "Okay." And so she comes out and she's like, "Hubie, what's going on? Why are you wanting to meet me out here? It's so nice to see you." And he freezes up, and the first thing he says is pumpkin.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Pumpkin?" And Kevin James and Kenan Thompson is his like right-hand man in the police force. And Kenan's like, "Oh man," uses pumpkin right away. And Kenan Thompson kind of keeps this whole thing going really well. He's the savior of this movie, if anything.
Yeah.
And
which is the last thing I would expect from Kenan Thompson.
Wow.
I said it.
Wow.
Get off of SNL, Kenan.
Wow.
I said it.
Throwing shade at Kenan Thompson.
I am.
Man, that is so mean.
No, it's not.
I love Kenan.
Well, he's only been on there for like his entire freaking
Doesn't matter.
life.
Doesn't matter.
Ugh.
He knows what he's good at.
No. He doesn't. That's fine. Though.
Okay, anyway. So she's talking to him and she's talking about how brave he is, how kind he is, and she's like, "Why didn't you ever try to like aren't you into me? And he's like, I've been into you since like first grade. And she's like, man, if I knew. Oh, by the way, Vicky Valentine was married to Kevin James's character for like 5 years, and they divorced. And she's like, man, and she doesn't know she's on a wire. She's like, man, if I knew that I could have been with you, I wouldn't have wasted 5 years with that idiot. And Keenan's like, oh man, I'm not even a part of this, and that hurt me. And
oof.
And so Keenan calls the number, and it's not ringing. All of a sudden, it picks up, and you hear loud breathing.
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly like that.
All right, I'm on the edge of my seat. Let's do it.
And so while they're talking, he's like, I traced the call. Hubie, it's at your house. And he immediately yells, Mommy, no, I need to go save my mom. And he takes off. Vicky Valentine's just standing there like, what's going on?
Right.
And he steals a boat and just takes off on the boat.
Right. That makes sense.
Right. I don't know. Like,
boat theft is the quickest way to get on land.
Right. Exactly. So we get back. He gets to the, gets back to his house. He goes inside.
And
And
Dan,
his mother is just sitting there. And he's like, well, Mom, are you all right? And she's like, yes, Hubie. I'm just fine. And he's like, are you okay? He's just like, yeah. What's wrong? He's like, do you think am I your special someone? She's like, you've always been my special someone. Have you tried to make this a good night for me? She's like, yes, I'm trying to make this a very special night for you. And he looks out the window and he sees Mike Mundy, both the Hennessy's, and Ray Liotta all tied up to a tree with a bunch of kindling right underneath them.
She gotta light them on fire.
And so he goes out there and they're all yelling at him, Hubie, you idiot, untie us, stop this, stop your mom, she's going psycho. And he's like, what's going on? Why are you doing this? And she's like, I told you that if you're not going to you need to stand up for yourself, and if you're not going to stand up for yourself, there's not many more days left for me here on earth. I'm going to stand up for you, and I'm going to take care of it myself.
Okay.
And so she takes out a match.
No.
And she's like, all these people have been nothing but mean to you, has done nothing but bully you, and I'm tired of seeing it. And
Mom's crazy.
Yeah. So they're all still yelling at Hubie.
Yeah.
Like, stop her. Get this idiot off of us. At this point, I believe she's wearing a shirt that says kayaking makes me wet. Just so you know. Like, she's still wearing that shirt.
Classy lady.
Yeah, it's an extremely intense part of the movie, and she's wearing a kayaking makes me wet shirt.
And then
all of a sudden a news van shows up and like they're recording it. And she's like, so I'm just gonna have to burn them all. And so she gets out like a thing of gas and starts pouring it all on their feet, all on the kindling. And he's like, I would have been okay with some itching powder in their sleeping bag. You really don't have to do this, Mom. And all of a sudden you see the police lights like show up. You hear the police siren, and they're like, see, cops are coming, you better stop. And she's like, oh, I better do this real quick then. So she takes out the match, lights it, throws it onto the fire. As it's going onto the fire,
thermos,
Hubie opens his thermos, puts out the little bit of soup that he still has left in his thermos, and puts out the match just before it hits the wood. And then And that is how, yeah. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Mm-hmm. So what I did forget to mention is we find out that Richie Hartman escaped from the mental hospital because his Steve Buscemi was his roommate, and Steve Buscemi escaped like 8 days earlier. And he wanted to make sure that Steve Buscemi was okay. Steve Buscemi believes that he is a werewolf, even though he is not. All the hair that's on his arms, all the howling is all made up by him. And Richie Hartman just pees a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, so I peed on a tombstone. I peed on the street. And he's like, you're peeing right now, aren't you? And he's like, yeah. And it pulls away, and like his pants are turning yellow. Like it's real like sub-level humor at this point. But anyway, we get back to them, and all of a sudden Kevin James and Kenan Thompson and Steve Buscemi and Rob Schneider are all there like freeze. And they're like Kevin James and Kenan Thompson are holding guns, and they're having this like the finger gun and holding it out. And they're like, why are they here? And it's like, no one else was at the station, so they had to come. He's like, we really need to get them back to the mental hospital. So during this, right after that, they're all still yelling at Hubie as the mother is getting handcuffed, and she's like, how dare you guys? He has done nothing but good to you guys. He just saved your guys' life, and you're just beating up on him. And Mike Mundy's like, sorry, Hubie. And she's like, even then, why are you still making fun of him? And they each come up with some like absolutely ridiculous reason why they are like why are they making fun of Hubie.
Okay.
Lester Hennessy, Tim Meadows goes first.
What does he say?
Why did Lester bully Hubie? Was it that Hubie was always
Lester
okay?
Played by again?
Tim Meadows.
Tim Meadows. Okay.
Was it because he was always okay with not being cool, and Tim Meadows and Lester was always felt like he needed to be the cool one in the group? Was he bald and Hubie wasn't, and he was jealous of Hubie's hair? Is it that he was dumb, and Hubie always uses big words when he talks, which makes him feel even dumber? Or does he think that Hubie is sexy?
I'm going with Adam Sandler's humor.
Uh-huh.
Which makes me think that it's D. And then there's like a confession of love that occurs afterwards, and it gets weird.
Mm-hmm. That does happen, but not with this character.
Okay.
So Lester is bald, and he was always jealous of Hubie's hair.
Cool.
Yeah. Mike Mundy always made fun of him because he was always trying so hard to become a part of the cool group, and he hated how Hubie was always okay with not being cool.
Yeah.
Ray Liotta was like, man, I'm really dumb. I'm really stupid. And anytime that Hubie uses big words, I feel even more stupid. So that's why I hate him. And then Mrs. Hennessy was like, Hubie's sexy. And Hubie's sexy because he never thinks about sex. And he's okay with not having any intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sexy to me. And so then, yeah. And so then everything's okay. And it goes, and then a year later, it goes, all of a sudden, a year later,
Hubie and Vicky are
married already.
Yeah.
And he is mayor of Salem.
Okay. Seems like a bit of a leap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was televised because that news van was there, so all of that was televised for everyone. So everyone saw how brave he was. Everyone saw how Hubie acted, and so they made him mayor. And everyone's in love with Hubie now. The end.
So thanks for listening to our podcast, everybody. God, that was bad.
I know. I know, and I probably didn't do it any justice talking about it.
Polaroid has a 0, and I would rather listen to you talk about Polaroid again over this. No questions asked.
Oh, man. As I said, and this isn't the worst Adam Sandler movie.
Here's the thing. I think what it comes down to is when you have a movie that just has bad reasoning and a bad plot, that's one thing.
Right.
But when you have a comedy that's not funny, that's where things get even worse for me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is just stupid. Just really stupid.
And
it's like Adam Sandler, man. And like we said at the beginning, man, like if you were giving me millions of dollars to continue to make movies, regardless of how good they did, I'd make movies. I don't care. I'd come up with stuff to talk about. I don't give a crap. How much money is he making off that deal? Do you know? Do you have any idea how much he's making? I
do not know exactly how much, but it is way more than I'll ever see in my lifetime.
Yeah, it's a stupid amount of money, I'm sure.
Yeah, it got a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes. 49% of professional critics was like, yeah, this isn't bad.
I think we need a new system. We need new critics.
Yeah,
we truly
I agree.
do.
I agree. All right. Let's do one more week of Wheel of Horror. I don't want to end on this one.
One more
week of Wheel of Horror. I really don't want to end on this one because it was that bad. So here we go. Are you ready
for the Wheel of Horror?
For the Wheel.
Let's do it.
Of Horror.
I'm ready.
All right. So we replaced Hubie Halloween with #Alive, which is on Netflix.
Okay.
Let's go.
Oh man.
Wow.
Okay, so I've already seen this.
Yeah.
Is that going to affect? Have you seen this?
I have not. No.
This is a good movie. Good movie. Oh, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough to talk about.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
That's gonna be all right. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's a good one. This isn't on Netflix, is it?
I don't know.
All right.
I have no idea, but we'll find it.
All right.
You get to tell me all about this movie.
This movie is messed up.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is a good horror movie. That's like just...
It's only a few days out from...
messed up.
From Halloween. So, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, so...
Yeah,
we'll go through and we'll see if we're going to keep moving forward with this format or not. But let me know if you can hear this, my guy. Ready?
Yep.
Hear that? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching Spoiled Rotten Movies. We do our Wheel of Horror episode on Wednesday nights. Possibly earlier than 9. We did it at 9 this evening. We'll see what it's going to be like going forward. Appreciate you being here. My name's Zane. This guy over here is Travis.
Hi.
You follow us on Instagram at Spoiled Rotten Movies. Follow us on Twitter at rotten_BOIS. Follow it. Come back on Tuesday at 7 o'clock for Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, where we'll have our guest Michelle talking about it. And apparently she really hates this one.
This has been Spoiled Rotten
This has been Spoiled Rotten Movies. Promise to do better next time. We love you. And freeze frame.
Bye.
Check on that microphone. Check on that microphone. Check on that microphone. Check on that microphone.